If you've ever said to yourself, I know better than this, I've done the work, so why do I keep ending up back here? This video right here, it isn't about another tactic. It's about showing you what's actually happening inside of you when the pressure hits, and why most men, they never catch it in time. Most men don't relapse because they don't want to grow. They relapse because something inside of them collapses under pressure, and they were never taught how to stay present in that moment. Now, if you can see that moment clearly, the cycle, it finally starts to loosen. So before we go any further, I want you to hear this. If you keep slipping back into old habits, there's honestly nothing wrong with you. All right? You're not weak if that's what you're thinking. You're not broken if you're thinking that, or if your mind is saying that. And you're not feeling that life. Here's some truth for you. What's actually happening isn't a discipline problem. What it is it's pressure showing up faster than your internal support system does. All right? So in this video, we're not going to stack problems on top of problems. Okay? I don't want to do that in this video. I'm not going to overwhelm you with a bunch of information. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over one issue at a time, and then I'm going to give you the fix for that same thing. All right. That way you can stay with yourself instead of turning on yourself. And then you should be able to actually build stability. All right. So core issue number one is self-abandonment under pressure. Relapse, it doesn't begin when the habit returns. It begins way earlier than that. It begins at the moment you leave yourself emotionally. That moment, it usually sounds like, I don't have time to feel this. I'll deal with this later. I just need to get through today. And then what starts to happen is your body, it starts to tighten. Your breathing, it shortens. You get irritable or you go numb. You don't explode though. But what you do is you disconnect. Once you're no longer with yourself, old habits, they actually don't feel like temptation. They feel like relief. So the fix, it isn't control though. It's presence under pressure. Growth happens when you catch the exact moment you want to escape and you say, this is uncomfortable and I'm still here. That sentence right there, it interrupts the entire cycle, because when you stay present, you don't need the habit to regulate you. You actually become the regulation. And this is the moment many men, they realize, I don't need more discipline. I need to learn how to stay. And if this pattern doesn't change, I can tell you this. Here's the real cost most men don't see right away. It's not just the habit that's coming back. It's not just that. It's that every time you disconnect and retreat, you quietly lose trust in yourself. And over time, that turns into hesitation and eventually avoidance. Then a man who knows what needs to be done, but no longer believes he can do it under pressure. That's how capable men stay stuck for years. Not because they can't lead, but because they stop trusting themselves to stay present when it mattered the most. And once a man starts abandoning himself under pressure, the next thing that shows up, it's not weakness. To me, it's worse. It's exposure. Because the moment that life applies real weight, whatever isn't supported, it's going to get revealed. And this is where most men, they start to think that they're failing. But the reality is they're just unsupported. So you got to make sure that you stay present in the moment. Don't retreat, because you don't want the exposure to come out. Core issue number two is stress exposure. Now, I want you to stay with me here, because this next part, it's personal. And if you've ever cracked under pressure at work, or you felt the weight of leadership hit harder than you expected, you're going to recognize yourself in this. So I'm going to ground you all with something personal. There was a time in my life where I was put in tough situations at work. I had to lead people who didn't agree with me. I had to make decisions under pressure. And I'll be honest, I didn't rise to the moment. I would crack internally. I'd retreat to my office. I'd find a quiet place. I'd step outside and I'd just pace it up and down the parking lot. And it wasn't so I could think, but it was so I could escape the pressure of having to lead. And instead of working through the issue, I'd get flustered. Then I'd tap out. And it's not because I didn't care, but it's because I didn't trust myself under pressure yet. Men, they don't relapse in calm seasons. They relapse when responsibility stacks up. Work pressure, financial stress, family needs, emotional isolation. Here's the truth most men were never taught. Stress, it doesn't break discipline. It exposes what was never supported. Most men, they build habits in low pressure moments, and they expect them to survive high pressure seasons. That's not strength, all right? That's actually unrealistic. So when stress hits, your nervous system says, go back to what's familiar. Not because it's good, but because it's predictable. So here's the fix. The fix is learning how to downshift intentionally. When pressure rises, you don't add more. You don't need to. You don't need to push harder. You definitely don't need to do this, and I don't want you to do this. Do not shame yourself. What you need to do is you need to shrink the load. That's actually leadership. And this is usually the moment a man realizes something important. I've never been taught how to support myself under pressure. I've only been taught how to push. So real quick, if this is landing for you, and if you're realizing that you don't actually know how to regulate yourself under stress, that's exactly what my one-on-one masculine clarity and direction call is for. Now, this isn't a motivational call. It's not therapy, all right? It's a structured 1-hour session where we slow everything down. We identify what's actually happening beneath the surface, and we get clear on your next steps, emotionally, financially, and personally. So if you want that kind of clarity and direction, you could click the link below in the calendar link, and you can schedule a one-on-one masculine clarity and direction call with me. Now, whether you ever book the call or not, I can tell you this. This next piece, it matters. Because this is where most men, they actually lose the battle. And it's not in the pressure itself, but it's in what happens after they slip. Now, I can tell you, I've dealt with this one a lot. This one has probably caused me the most issues in my own mind more than core issue number 2. So core issue number 3 is shame acceleration. This is the part where most capable men miss, because even when they survive the pressure, they quietly destroy themselves afterwards. Most men, they don't spiral because they slip. They don't. They spiral because of this voice that shows up after. You know, the voices in your head, the voices that say things like, you should be past this. What's wrong with you? You always do this. That voice, it honestly feels like accountability, but it's actually internal violence. And it's shame. And that shame destroys one critical thing. It destroys self-trust. A man who doesn't trust himself will always return to familiar coping. Now, the fix for this is leadership language. It's not excuses. It's not softness. It's clarity without attack. It sounds like something got heavy. I adjusted. I returned. This is where identity changes, because a regulated man doesn't spiral. He actually re-enters calmly. And every calm return, it rewires the nervous system. Here's a simple practice I want you to try. I want you to try it tonight or the next time that you're under pressure or that pressure hits. When you feel that urge to escape, don't fix anything. Don't make a plan. Don't correct yourself. I just want you to pause, and I want you to say out loud or internally, I'm here. That's it. That moment of staying without solving, that's how self-trust begins to rebuild. This is what leadership looks like when no one else is watching, when the lights are off and it's quiet. So if you zoomed out for a moment Hopefully you've seen the pattern, but I can tell you, you're going to start to see the pattern clearly. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this: relapse, it's not a moral failure. It's a moment where pressure exceeds support. When you decide to stay with yourself, when you decide to shrink the load, when you remove shame, that cycle loses power. There's one issue, and then there's a fix for it. One fix. That's how stability is actually rebuilt. A grounded man doesn't abandon himself when things get heavy. He actually just stays. A regulated man, they don't panic under pressure. He adjusts. I can tell you this: you're not behind. You're learning a skill that most men, we were actually never taught this. Before we close, I want to say this clearly. Some men, they know how to integrate this on their own. And some men, they realize they don't want to keep navigating this alone. If you're ready for a focused support and direction, that's what the one-on-one masculine clarity call is for. That's why it exists. It's a 1-hour reset for men who feel stuck, overwhelmed, or caught between who they've been and who they know they need to become. Like I said, you can use the Calendly link below. You can book a session so that we can get real clear on your next move. You are not meant to live braced. You're not meant to live rushed. And you for sure are not meant to live in reactiveness. You're meant to move through life with stability, clarity, and self-trust. So the next time that pressure hits, I need you to remember this. Make sure you stay. Make sure you support. And make sure you return. To me, that is leadership. That's self-leadership. So if this helps you feel clearer instead of judged, stay connected to the channel, because we're going to keep building this. We're going to keep going back one layer at a time, right? We're going to keep peeling this onion, and then we're going to build on it one layer at a time. And in the next video, we're going to talk about something that keeps men stuck even when they're doing everything right. And that's the difference between motion and progress, and why staying busy can be another form of avoidance. With that being said, catch you later. Peace.